as a leader, you must persist in whatever you want to achieve. You cannot let it go because circumstances may not always be conducive to what you are trying to achieve.
Hello and welcome to Up Close and Personal Season 2 at Invocate Studio, where we dive deep into the heart of leadership, collective action, and education equity. I'm your host, Shashidhar S.A., and today we are joined by an amazing guest with us, Srimati Manjari Jaruhar. So she's a true trailblazer as the first woman IPS officer from the state of Bihar and the first 5 in India. Her career challenged the status quo. And beyond her distinguished service, she is an author and an advocate dedicated to women empowerment and improving gender dynamics in the society. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
To start with, looking back at your school days, what did you want to become when you grew up?
I led a very sheltered life. I was meant to become a housewife. So everything which a housewife should know, like cooking, sewing, looking after the house, looking after the family, that is what I was trained for. And that training also was done very meticulously. It was not just left to anything and everything.
Right.
I was sent to a cooking class. I was sent to a place where they were teaching you stitching and cutting. At home also, my parents would often go away leaving the keys of the house with me, with my siblings to look after. So I think that my childhood was a very sheltered and focused on me being a good housewife. But circumstances changed in life, and very soon I had to take up a career. And it was a clean break from whatever I had been brought up as. And I took up a career in the police, which no one ever thought of. And that also in Bihar, which is was considered a very backward state even then. And when I joined Bihar, I was the first woman IPS officer, so they were not ready to accept me. So that is how I started my career.
So what I'm curious is about, like, what was there any instance that inspired you to become an IPS officer? So I'm curious about that. What inspired you?
I was inspired to take the civil services exams because we had family members who were part of the civil services. They were in the IAS and the IFS and other services. And I realized that there is a lot of prestige and respect for these services. So I thought that why don't I also study and try and take these exams. So I took these exams and I qualified for the IPS. And much against my family's wishes, they were not very happy about my joining the police. But eventually they also agreed, because they thought that this was something which I had achieved on my merit only, and I should be allowed to go.
Right.
So that's how I landed up at this police academy in Hyderabad.
Wow, I mean, you are a real inspiration to a lot more people out there. Having said that, throughout your career, both professionally and personally, how do you define leadership for you?
When I joined Bihar, as I've written in my book, Madam Sir, which are my reminiscences, both in English and also in Hindi, it's been translated. In the beginning, there was a lot of pushback from the senior officers. The word I use is pushback, because they said that they didn't know what to do with me, how to post me, where to post me. It was a very male-oriented department, and whether I would really fit into it. And they talked about Kiran Bedi's case, that she was working in Delhi, and Bihar was a very different place. And how is it that I can work there? So kept, उसको सोचते रहे लोग, इनको क्या करें, इनके साथ क्या करें. And I kept insisting. मेरा ये था कि भाई हम जब IPS का ट्रेनिंग करके आए हैं, और मैंने वही ट्रेनिंग किया है जो मैन ने भी किया है, तो हमारे में कौन सी इतनी कमी है जो हमें पोस्टिंग नहीं दे रहे हैं. तो मैं पोस्टिंग के लिए हमेशा जिद करती रही, एंड दे डिड गिव मी पोस्टिंग्स, बट दे वर always very skeptical whether I can do something. So for me, leadership has a very different connotation. I feel that as a leader, you must persist in whatever you want to achieve. You cannot let it go because circumstances may not always be conducive to what you are trying to achieve. So persistence and knowledge I really believe that if you are not knowledgeable, meaning that you must know the job which you are doing thoroughly, only then you can prove to others that you are equal to anybody else. Like in my case, I had to prove that I can be equal to the men officers. So I felt that knowing all my laws, my investigation, my crime records, everything, if I know, not only the subordinates will respect me, but my colleagues and seniors will also know that yes, she knows her job. Because in a police job, you are always under scrutiny of the public also.
Right.
They also want to know how you are going to handle a particular case, whether you are going to be fair and just, whether you're going to listen to everybody. So unless you know your laws very well, you have knowledge of the situation, what kind of a place you are posted in, how to deal with the human mind and the human beings, all this only helps you to build up your leadership skills.
Fair point, ma'am. Thank you for sharing that. Has there been a leadership lesson that deeply influenced you, that you still carry with you?
One very small example, very early in my career, was that my DIG, Mr. Lalit Vijay Singh, was the DIG of Patna, and I was placed for training under him. And he would often ask me to do petty inquiries and all, just to test me whether I knew my work and all. That was still my training period. And during this period, he asked me to inquire into a land dispute. So this was my first inquiry. So I went to the village. It was very far from Patna, where I was really posted, and talked to all the villagers, talked to the person who had a grievance, talked to the opposite party, talked also to the officer in charge, and I recorded everything properly and gave it to him. I thought that I had done a very thorough job. But I was shocked when he returned my inquiry and asked me to meet him in office. And then he said that you have recorded everything very factually, but you have not given an opinion. And for a leader, it is very important to say who was right and who was wrong. And in a police situation, you have to say that this is the person who is a victim and this person is an aggressor. So just writing who has done what, who has done what is not important. A leader is a decision maker, and a decision maker for the right things. So you please tell me, you take this paper back, you record everything and tell me who you think is the right person, who has done the right, who has done something wrong, and who is responsible for giving the correct judgment in this case. So this is a very important lesson I have learned, that a leader needs to be decisive and always needs to take a stand between what is right and wrong.
A wonderful lesson that you have shared. So quite often, like as someone who has been in the force and someone who has been in a leading position, right? Has there been instances or examples that challenged you as a leader?
Yes, there have been instances when I have been challenged as a leader. I'm insisting on something to be done and people are saying, no, it cannot be done. I was once handling the recruitment cell, and in the police, the recruitment cell is often fraught with all kinds of allegations, etc. And I said that no, we will go and do a recruitment which will be technology based, and it will be through computers. The questions will be set in such a way that nobody will know, and that was the very early stages. So there was a lot of opposition. How will we do this? How will we do that? But I insisted that no, the computer will take out all the questions. It will be multiple answers will be, multiple choices will be there, and the computer itself will scan and give us results.
Right.
So everybody in the department felt that this will be very difficult, it cannot be done. But sometimes as a leader, you have to push a decision. I believe that management of change is very important in an organization. Very often change comes with talking to everybody and taking their views together and then making a change, because then that person is not suspicious about the change.
Right.
वो लोग change को accept कर लेते हैं because आपने उनसे बात करके वो change किया है.
Right.
But कभी-कभी department में change करने के लिए there's a lot of opposition.
Right.
And in that your leadership qualities come, where you say that no, this change is important and we are going to do it in spite of people not agreeing. And then the responsibility of the person is more, because you have to ensure that the change जो आपने लगाया है वो ठीक से successfully हो जाए, और उसको you can prove to the public that look, this change is for the better.
Right.
तो जैसे मैंने ये रिक्रूटमेंट का शुरू किया कि कंप्यूटर के थ्रू, इंटरनेट के थ्रू ही हम करेंगे, तो इट वाज अ बिग चेंज, वेरी बिग
Right.
चेंज. एवरीथिंग वाज डन फिजिकली,
Right.
क्वेश्चंस लिख के जाता था, कभी लीक करता था, कभी
Right.
कुछ होता था. लेकिन दिस वे इट वाज ऑल without any problem, but it was a major change and I insisted.
Right. I think quite often you have to show what it means
Yes.
to be a leader through results and examples.
Yes, yes,
Right. You have been an advocate for women empowerment,
yes.
right? So, what challenges do you see in promoting leadership in women in our society currently?
Women empowerment is now a topic which is very much talked about, and we do need to empower women. And many laws have come, and earlier, you know, the laws were not so very strong. The section 498A, which was brought for protecting women who were being harassed in marriage or they were being harassed in a relationship, those laws were very good. And now many other laws have come to protect women, protection of women from domestic violence, protection of women at sexual harassment, prevention of sexual harassment at workplace. A lot of laws have come to empower women. And there are everywhere there's a complaints committee, and I think that people are sympathetic to the women's cause.
Right.
But very often I see that women tend to misuse this law also. And this I think is a very bad thing, because when you misuse a law, then the genuine person who really needs the help of this law gets affected and doesn't get a relief.
Right.
In my own career, I have come across cases where very often I have had to adjudicate in cases of sexual harassment at the workplace. You know, police is a very hierarchical job. Hierarchy बहुत stiff होता है.
Right.
There is a lot of discipline.
Right.
जो बॉस ने कहा वो आपको करना है.
Right, right.
तो इसमें महिलाएं अपना टाइम भी निकाल के कुछ गलत काम करती हैं, like not coming to office in time. When they have come to the office, not doing their work properly,
Right.
shirking their work,
Right.
doing other things during office time. और अगर सीनियर ऑफिसर उसको पुल अप करता है कि भाई आप टाइम पे आइए, सही काम करिए, ऑफिस का काम करिए, तो ये लोग केस लगा देते हैं, कंप्लेंट लगा देते हैं, विच इज नॉट फेयर. एंड आई हैव सीन दैट इन अ कंप्लेंट्स कमिटी देयर इज आल्सो अ वुमन. एक ऐसा केस आया जिसमें एक वुमन ने भी लिख दिया कि नहीं, कमांडेंट का ही गलती है, जो कमांडेंट थे.
Right.
And I felt that the commandant was doing what was right. He was not wrong. But when I looked at the case, my senior officer says that, Manjri, now you look after the case and you please say what is right and wrong, because this, we all know that the commandant is not wrong, but this is the way the inquiry has been done.
Right.
So then the whole thing I had to open the whole case again and start doing it in afresh, so that, you know, all facts are brought on record. So I think that while women are getting empowered, they must use the powers which they have been given
Right.
in the right way,
Right.
in the correct way. Otherwise, misusing has a bad impact and leads to many more other side effects,
Right.
which are not good for other women
Right.
who are also suffering.
That's a powerful insight and a line,
Yes.
ma'am. I resonate with it a lot. Moving to the next question. So we have a list of jars here. So with our chits, which has some questions, you get to choose any of one and answer. So it's about tech and curiousness and jar of inspiration and something about the moment. So
How do grassroots movements influence policy changes on a global scale? You know, when I joined the police service, there were hardly any women at the lower level.
right.
And I was in the CISF. And in the CISF, that is the Central Industrial Security Force, which provides women at the security at the airports, at public sector undertakings, and almost everywhere now in buildings, everywhere there are women. So when we started thinking of recruiting more women, it was very much opposed by the men. They said, how will they work? Where will we train them? Who will train them? Where will they stay? Where will they eat? all kinds of problems were raised at the grassroots level, and it was felt that how women can be along with the men. But in my batch, I was 100 plus men, and we were only 6 women, and we had done the same training as the men. So I said, why? If there are already training institutes, we'll recruit the women and we'll train them with the men.
Right.
And I was trained by the men, they will also be trained by the men.
Right.
And about barracks and getting them food, etc., I said the existing barracks will barricade, and we'll just put a barbed wire to separate the barracks from the men's barracks, and they'll have their own kitchens and they will cook their own food and all. So this worked, and today I find that the CISF has a large number of women.
Right.
And if we didn't have the women force, we wouldn't have been able to handle the expansion in the airports, expansion in the metros, everywhere, because in India today, women cannot be searched or frisked by another man.
Right.
Women ही women को frisk करती हैं या check करती हैं.
Okay.
इसलिए women force को लाना बहुत ज़रूरी था. And then when I went to Jharkhand, it was a new state. I insisted that we should again recruit women, because वहाँ पे भी women के बिना काम नहीं होगा. There was a Naxal infested area. Naxalites को deal करने के लिए भी हमें women officers चाहिए था, because there were women Naxalites.
Right.
उनका arrest होना, उनको लेके आना थाने में, and to be protected by a woman police officer. So I think that it was a movement, and today in every organization there is 33% reservation. In the states there is 30% reservation, and the numbers have not become very high, but at least there is a beginning, and a lot more women are getting recruited in the police, which is indeed very heartening.
Yes, it's good to see that it's progressing year to year.
Yeah.
That's hopeful.
Yes.
Having said that, what is the one hope or something that you want to see in the future?
I really want to see in the future that all women, wherever they are given education. I wish that every girl child has a chance to be in school, get educated,
Right.
and move ahead in life.
Thank you. You mentioned education. Just to hit upon that, what is a favorite memory of your school that you hold on to?
My favorite memory of school is discipline.
Okay.
And I think it played a very important role later on in my life also. I went to a convent school where we had German nuns, and they were very particular about coming on time, writing neatly, maintaining your books neatly, attending all the classes very, very systematically. And their discipline and their motivation, I think, was very much ingrained in my life. And this also helped me later when I happened to join the police force, where discipline plays such an important role.
Right. I still remember my parents keep telling me my school days be disciplined, and that resonates a lot.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much, Manjari ji, for your wonderful time on the conversation. And thank you so much, audience, for tuning in. Stay connected, keep the dialogue going on, and see you in the next episode.